Let's bring in Tim Miller, MSNBC political analyst, writer at large for The Bulwark and host of the Bulwark podcast, and Shelby Talcott, White House correspondent for Semaphore. Welcome to you both. So, Shelby, how is the Trump administration reacting to all this Musk backlash? Are there any plans to rein in his access and power?
Not so far. And again, there are people, and there have always been people inside of Donald Trump's orbit who are a little bit skeptical of Elon Musk. We heard it during the transition, some complaints that he was sort of always at Mar-a-Lago. But ultimately, if Donald Trump is happy with Elon Musk, then Elon Musk is going to stay. And so far, it seems like Donald Trump is very happy with what Elon Musk is doing and is content to let him sort of run this government efficiency agency as he sees fit.
So, Tim, Yamiche, you heard touch on the Washington Post report that constituents are flooding lawmakers with calls about Elon Musk. Listen to this. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski said the Senate's phones were getting 1,600 calls a minute compared with the typical 40. I mean, that is a stunning difference. Is the chaos that Trump and Musk are unleashing on the government exactly what Democrats warned would happen before the election? And have you noticed any Republicans or Trump voters expressing any buyer's remorse?
It is what Democrats warned of. I did see there's an article this morning that, and we at the Bulwark do some focus groups where you heard from some people that were Trump voters who said that this was chaos that they were not looking for. So we have seen, a couple of examples of that. That's anecdotes. It's not data at this point. It's pretty early. But just as a general principle, if you stand back, like Trump has succeeded with voters when he is doing his kind of PR game, right? Which is a lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of brashness, attacking foes, but then not actually doing a whole lot. Like you remember the first term, like all of the discussion of the wall and immigrants and how much the wall actually got built, not that much. Elon is kind of doing the opposite, right? Like they are doing the Silicon Valley move fast and break things strategy. That is less popular with voters than Trump's, smoke and mirrors strategy, if you will. And I do think that tension is going to come into focus even more over the next few months.
Can you give me a sense, Tim, what the best way is for the public to fight back? Is it grassroots efforts, protests like the one we saw across the country this week?
Look, yeah, I think that calling Congress does make a difference. Look, the Republicans have very narrow majorities in Congress. And so I think particularly, if you are from a state like where you have a senator like Lisa Murkowski, Bill Cassidy here in Louisiana, it seems like he folded on the RFK secretary vote, but he was on the fence for that for a while. I think pressuring those types of Republicans is useful. A lot of this stuff is going to be in the courts, right? So a lot of this stuff is legal. And so the regular Americans that are lawyers will be involved in that, not regular folks. And then I think in the government, federal government employees are going to have to speak out. And I think that you're seeing this already with reaching out to people who are involved in USAID. Democrats are going to have to put a face on the people that are doing this work. What kind of work are they doing? There's an example, down here in Louisiana, there's this group that we volunteer with that does tree planting. They're like, we get funded through the U.S. forestry. Right, the tree planters, like the farmers, the tree farmers are going to get hurt by this. The guys that are doing the delivery, right? So putting faces on this that are not just bureaucrats.
Yeah. So Shelby, you write that the Department of Government Efficiency follows the longtime Elon Musk pattern. What is that pattern? I mean, Tim just mentioned the Silicon Valley MO of breaking things. Is that how he's doing it?
Yeah, historically, Elon Musk has gone into places that he ends up buying or owning, and he sort of takes a wrecking ball to it, and he dismantles the entire structure and then rebuilds it up. And that is how he did things when he took over X. It's how he did things at SpaceX. And so this is historically sort of his pattern of doing things, is sort of go big, dismantle everything, and then figure out how to build it back up. And we saw that, we're seeing that. That's the approach that he is taking to the U.S. government. Now, of course, the difference is this is not a private company that Elon Musk owns. This is the U.S. government. And so we're seeing the different repercussions. We're starting to see these lawsuits. We're starting to see legal pushbacks. And there's certainly going to be more of that as he continues with this method.
100%. And Shelby, in that same article, you said that DOJ is turning its attention now to the Social Security Administration. What are you learning about Musk's plans for that agency, and what would that mean for millions of Americans?
Well, we heard from Donald Trump yesterday, who reiterated what he has said on the campaign trail, which is that Social Security would not be touched. But in the same breath, he also sort of alluded to the idea that they will be looking at Social Security in some way, shape, or form. He argued that there are people on there that shouldn't be on there, that need to be weeded out. We don't know the specifics of that, but certainly it seems like Elon Musk and his group of folks are going to be looking at this agency in terms of what Donald Trump said last night. And now I also would note that when I've talked to people affiliated with DOJ's efforts, they say every agency is essentially on the books. There is no agency that is fully offline, that is fully, unavailable to be looked at. And I think that's also notable because it shows that this is only getting started. We're only a few weeks into Donald Trump's administration, and they're planning to look at every single aspect of the U.S. government in some way, shape, or form.
So newly sworn in Attorney General Pam Bondi has already issued a flurry of directives aimed at examining the alleged weaponization of the DOJ and stopping investigations into foreign influence, Tim. What does this tell you about Bondi's priorities? And is this what she said she would do in her confirmation hearing?
It isn't. What we heard from the confirmation hearing was that they were going to, depoliticize the Justice Department, not going after friends of the administration if they commit crimes or if they should be looked into. Is not depoliticizing it; it is politicizing it. And I think particularly when it comes to this foreign influence, that's a pretty strange directive immediately, that we're going to de-emphasize investigations into FARA, which is the registered foreign agent, and de-emphasize investigations into foreign interference in our elections. That is sending basically like a welcome sign to foreign governments that want to interfere. That is clearly, even though it's not stated in the EO itself, a reaction to just how upset Trump was and the people around him about the Russia investigation. So in a lot of ways, this is also sending a welcome sign to Russia, though they're a little bit, they have their hands full, I guess, in Ukraine. But, I think that is like the big takeaway here. The other thing that I'd flag is who the U.S. attorneys are that come in. That's going to be under her rubric. We have this guy, Ed Martin, who's been explicitly partisan as the D.C. U.S. attorney. He was Phyllis Schlafly's right-hand man, is just a rabid partisan that has been put in place at that very important D.C. Attorney's spot. And so I think we're going to see more of that from her as well.
Okay. Last question to you, Shelby. What else do you think we can expect from the Trump DOJ? What do you think is next on their agenda?
Well, listen, I think that they've made it clear as soon as she was confirmed, she has set up a task force to examine the what they call the weaponization of the Justice Department. She's warned career lawyers at the agency not to sort of push back on Trump's agenda. And so I do think that that's going to be a focus. And anything that Donald Trump does in the next few weeks, which we anticipate to be a lot more executive orders, a lot more initiatives, that's going to follow at the Justice Department. And she's going to implement Donald Trump's agenda.